Agile approaches became widely accepted ways of startup development. Let us start with Lean. First, one of the Lean approaches is the Lean Canvas approach. It comes from the following problem. How can we describe all the 9 elements of a canvas business model when the business it doesn't exist? And this is the problem of a startup. The business is not here. We need to build it. So it's very hard to concentrate on most important things when you don't know which things are important. We need to try to invent new elements of the business model, but we don't know them yet, so we don't understand them. This problem can be solved by the Lean Canvas business model. Let's look at the Canvas business model once again and at its elements. The crucial elements are value proposition and customer segments. As we know, this is the starting point for any business model. But business models for startups have a following feature. Startups are searching for business model, meaning that they are searching for the customer segments and for the value proposition that will be suitable for these customer segments. During this search, startups can change their value propositions many times and even change the customer segments. But because of this, your key activities you need to undertake and key resources you need to use may change. And this is also true for some other elements of business model, for instance, customer relationships and key partners. The Canvas business model starts by describing most crucial points and avoiding description of elements that are not so crucial and to which we can turn in later dates of our startup development. So the Lean Canvas suggests to start by defining a problem of customer segments. So here's the new block, problem block. Then we should offer the solution to this problem that customers face, and through this solution we come to the value proposition. Another element is added in Lean Canvas business model is key metrics. The metrics that we follow and that can show whether the startup is successful or whether it fails to be successful. The metrics for startup can be different from the metrics of well-established businesses. And another business block is unfair advantage, which describes how the startup is different from other businesses and why it's special, why it can do something that others can't. Let us look at these elements in bigger detail. So the problem element is the formulation of a problem that a startup intends to solve. When we define this problem, we can offer a solution to this, the next block, and this solution should be valuable for the consumers in such a way that consumers will be ready to pay for this solution to the startup. So this problem solution chain should lead to value proposition formulation. Key metrics is the ways we measure the degree of success of a startup, which is difficult to assess using traditional financial indicators such as profits or revenue. So for startups, it's important to determine indicators which can clearly demonstrate that startup develops in the right direction. Profits usually come only in the later stages of startup development. So for startups, especially in the early stage, the key metrics such as the number of new clients or the number of customers that come to buy our product or service for the second time, and many other such indices can be more important and can measure the success better. And the fourth element of a Lean Canvas business model is the unfair advantage. It reflects those specific features of a startup that makes it different from other companies, and at the same time, the features that are attractive to consumers. Sometimes the unfair advantages are called competitive advantages. So, unfair advantage is basically the feature that differs us and the feature that is hard to copy by other businesses. If we are different and we offer something that consumers need, then we can have hope that consumers will come specifically to our startup to get their problems solved. Apart from the lean canvas business model, lean approach also requires to use the so-called build, measure, learn feedback loop. Let's look at it in detail. As you remember, when we were discussing the Kahneman framework, we were mentioning that most startups operate in high uncertainty and operate in complex environment. Complex environment requires experimenting as a very crucial part of understanding how to cope with uncertainty. We need to find out the patterns and understand the cause and effect relationships which are not so obvious in complex environment. The build, measure, learn feedback loop is basically the idea of these experiments as a way of the startup to develop its ideas and develop its products. So this loop starts with the ideas formulation, which is on the top of the loop. When we formulate the ideas, we move to product building. By building a product, we offer it to the consumers, consumers that are ready to look at the product and to try to use it. By offering the product, we measure the success rate, we measure the feedback from the consumers, and by collecting the data, we can learn something, and through learning, move again to idea formulation. One of the main ideas behind this build, measure, learn feedback loop is the idea of learning as crucial point of startup development. Only by learning what the consumers really need, what we need to give them, we can build our business model and we can build a successful product and a successful firm. One of the ideas that lie behind this build, measure, learn feedback loop is the idea of minimal viable product. A minimal viable product, or MVP, is a product that has enough features to satisfy the first consumers and provide feedback for further product development. The first consumers are sometimes called early followers, and these are the type of consumers that really need our product or service, need to such degree that they are ready to use it, even if it's very not finished yet, and some of the features work not very good. So early followers are the perfect consumers which can be used to test our hypothesis, to test our ideas, and to come to the conclusion which services, which elements of our startup product are needed and which are not needed by the consumers. So using the idea of minimal viable product, we offer such products to consumers, measure the feedback, through this feedback learn, and through this learning offer new ideas. By repeating this loop with minimal viable product again and again and again, startups develop the product until it is developed to such a degree that it can be offered to the general market and lead to startup success.